Hello, and welcome once again to Professor Black's History. Thanks for joining us. Again, we tell you that we always come to you from the shadows until Black history and African American history is taken out of the shadows and put more prominently into textbooks. Here's something you're going to want to listen to, because a lot of times we come to you to tell you about people that you probably never heard, even never heard their name. But this time we're going to give you a name that you've probably heard of, but still it's a great idea to go back and read the story, because when you read the story you get the full impact and you understand what it took for these people to make it and become successful. Today we're talking about the great jazz and blues singer Bessie Smith. Bessie Smith was a person who had a voice that was so strong that she didn't need a microphone. She could stand on stage and sing, and people all the way in the back of the auditorium could hear her just as clear as the people near the front. So she was a very, very powerful singer. She was born in Chattanooga, Tennessee in 1894. So of course, you know, she experienced a lot of racism. She began her career as a singer and dancer on the streets with one of her older brothers. Her father actually died when she was a very young child, and then her mother passed away when she was around 9 years old, and her other siblings were raised by her older sister. But she and one of her brothers used to go out in the streets in Chattanooga and perform in front of nightclubs. And while they were performing, they would get money, and that's how they helped support their family. The older brother left and went with a traveling troupe of showmen and left Bessie. He didn't tell her he was leaving because it would have broken her heart, and she was not quite old enough to leave home. But he said she was ready as far as being talented. But anyway, eventually her brother came back, and her first job was with this traveling troupe of entertainers as a dancer. She wasn't a singer, she was a dancer. But she met one of the great blues singers of the time, Ma Rainey. Now, Ma Rainey became the first great blues singer, and she didn't teach Bessie Smith how to sing, but she did teach Bessie Smith a lot about her stage presence and how to perform. So Ma Rainey was a very big influence on Bessie Smith. She worked a lot of times in shows on the TOBA, which is the Theater Owners Booking Association, which was the Black Booking Association. So she worked in kind of what they call the Chitlin Circuit or the Black Circuit. But she became very, very famous, and by 1920, Bessie had established herself as one of the great entertainers along the Eastern Seaboard. She moved to Philadelphia, and she eventually fell in love with and married a guy named Jack Gee in 1923. The marriage only lasted for about 6 years. Jack Gee loved the money that was connected with Bessie. He did not like the entertainment lifestyle, and he also did not like the fact that she was bisexual. But he had some affairs and she had some affairs. But anyway, they eventually divorced, and she went back on her own. But she signed with Columbia in 1923. She became a very big star. Her first big hit was Gulf Coast Blues, and then her next big hit was on the flip side, the Downhearted Blues. This made Bessie a national sensation, and Bessie Smith became known as the Empress of the Blues. She was the highest paid black entertainer of the day. She traveled in her own railroad car, to tell you a little bit about how much money Bessie was making. She died as a result of a car accident, and when she passed away in 1926, an estimated 10,000 people passed by her coffin to see her, and then another 7,000 people came to her funeral. Now, when Bessie would perform, though, sometimes you would have riots or near riots outside the theater, because the people that were in the theater didn't want to leave because they wanted to see more of Bessie Smith, and the people outside the theater wanted to get in to see the show. But Bessie Smith, one of the great performers of all time. It just goes to show you once again, it does not matter where you come from. What matters is how hard you work to get where you want to go. And if you work hard enough, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get there. Join us next time when I've got something fun for us to talk about on Professor Black's History. We'll see you then.